Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It is a beautiful day in the Ozarks. It's quite a bit cooler than it was last week. Last week, you've heard me talk quite a bit about how hot and miserable it was. Today, it's not too bad. The last day of June, it's pretty decent day. So we're enjoying that around here. A lot of things are going on in the news. Some things you probably should be aware of. The U.S. government is warning that Iranian cyber actors could be hitting soft targets in the coming days. They're warning that, your typical banking and healthcare and various other parts of government and in commerce could be attacked and cyber attacked by Iranian actors. Of course, this is just on the heels of obviously the conflict between Israel and Iran, and then us being involved in it. Like I said this morning, the top Ayatollah has issued an order to take vengeance out on any Israel or U.S. targets, including the leaderships of those countries. And in the last week or so, there's been a lot in the news about Border Patrol capturing Iranian people trying to come into the country. So my gut tells me is that this is part of a setup, because the stuff is still going on. This morning, Iranian air defense systems went active again. There's been a lot of talk about drones being sent back and forth between Iran and Israel. Nothing too significant yet, but it does look like things are heating up. Israel is accusing China and Russia of helping Iran rearm, which I don't doubt that. But the fact that they're bringing them into the mix, I think, is just telling us more of what we're in for in the future. Iran says that they are actively rebuilding the site and that were hit by the U.S., and of course, they're saying it wasn't that bad, that they'll be able to rebuild it. Who knows what the truth is? We'll probably never know what the truth is. But Iran does seem to be purchasing some fighter jets from China and maybe a few other things. So a lot of that's building up. Iran says, hey, we now have a better handle on things. We're better equipped. We're better trained. We've gone through it now already. So now next time we'll be more ready. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. The president has signed an executive order removing all sanctions from Syria. I find this one kind of interesting. We've been in conflict with Syria for a long time. Syria is a hotbed of terrorists. And in fact, their new president was a former terrorist that was on the FBI's most wanted list not that long ago. But, that's how CIA assets are. They get, eventually get to change clothes and put a suit on, and now they're playing for the other team. So I guess we're buddies now with them. So, anyways, this assassin ambush in Idaho, still very tragic. I smell something wrong with this one, and there's nothing absolute, but the information coming out just doesn't seem right. They claim that the shooter is a 20-year-old kid, not a kid, I know he's a man, but he's a 20-year-old that possibly was born in Russia but lived in New York and Florida. Possibly his mother and mother's boyfriend are big MAGA supporters. Possibly he was, had some mental issues, but like other incidents similar to this, pretty much his online presence has disappeared. Very, very little about him. And a lot of things just aren't adding up. But, that's so far the official story. Now, of course, we're still in that fog of war stage. So who knows what the actual story is and what the truth is. And like I said, we probably won't ever know it. But much like the guy that, shot the president's ear, he just kind of disappeared. I mean, the story of him just kind of disappeared. Information about him disappeared. It seems like that's the direction this is already taking. So that kind of makes me think that there's something else up, right? And I think that we should be aware of that. I don't know. it's always sad when there's actual real loss of life. I mean, these firefighters were going in, I can tell you, pretty close to probably what their mindset is. You know, you see a fire in the woods, you're gonna get there, you're focused on how to attack the fire. There is absolutely nothing going on in their mind at that time that there could be someone out there trying to shoot them. I mean, they may be thinking about the danger of the fire, but they're used to that. They deal with that all the time. So it's a pretty tragic event, and if things like this were to continue, it could definitely instill a lot of fear amongst the general population and amongst emergency workers of, you know, now do we have to worry about this risk? We're going on a medical call or a fire call, and now we have to worry about someone doing a horrible thing like this. I don't know. It's wrong, but I think that there's a good chance that there's something else going on with it. I think that we're seeing a buildup of a narrative that, you know, America has become a more dangerous place. We've got these enemies abroad that are here in the United States trying to do harm to us, and that we need to take, you know, extraordinary, you know, actions to protect ourselves, not just to attack them elsewhere, but to also protect ourselves. There was a story today about a new type of home Wi-Fi that you can get in your house, and this Wi-Fi uses, you know, so you got the little router in your house, you all know what that is, and the Wi-Fi uses that Wi-Fi signal as a sort of radar, and it's able to determine where you're at in your movement in your house. And of course, they're selling it as, you know, if there's someone that's bad in your house, some bad guy, you can detect where they're at. But again, it's more of this big brother technology that's being pushed. And I know that is a very tiny, insignificant, or at least seemingly insignificant part of it, but it's all part of a bigger picture that we're watching develop right before our eyes. And so we're this narrative that we live in a dangerous place, that the world is falling apart, that there's all of these enemies out there that want to hunt us down, they want to do harm to us. There's millions of people in this country that have come in illegally, and that they are wanting to do disruptive things to our society. We need to implement these measures to protect ourselves, right? I have a strong feeling that is the direction that this is all going. It was also revealed in the news today that China has released a new weapon. This weapon is capable of taking out the grid within about a 10,000 square meter space. Now, that may sound like a lot. That's only about 2.5, 3 acres. But it's not a nuclear weapon. It's a different type of weapon, and it's specifically designed to take out your little electrical stations. Think of that throughout wherever you live. There are these substations where all the grid runs through it. There's transformers and all of these things. This is something that's capable of frying that kind of stuff. As we see more and more of this come out, more threats, more warnings that, you know, we should be afraid because, you know, there's this holy war declared on us. We should be afraid because Russia is going to move in on Europe and probably try to take us out. We should be afraid because China is going to move on Iran and then possibly move on us because we're in the way. This is part of that fear campaign Psyop that's being played out, along with many others. I understand the economy and trade and all that kind of stuff that's happening, dollars dropping, you know, there's all of that uncertainty in that area too. But in this particular area, they're trying to, I believe, build this fear level amongst Americans. And it may hit a plateau where there's various violent acts that are happening on a somewhat regular basis. And then they will come in and say, well, you know, it's a good thing that we've been working on this digital ID, national ID, and digital database and AI infrastructure and drones and cameras and Wi-Fi and your phone and your TV and all your appliances spying on you and everything and reporting back, because now we can use all that to protect you and to make things safe. Yes, it's going to also tell if you've done anything possibly wrong, and if you've, need your hand slapped too because you've violated some social norm or whatever, but it's going to make us safer. I could be completely out on a limb on this one, I know, but there's just too many puzzle pieces being put together. And this may be a slower process than what a lot of us expect, but I think that is the direction things are going as we see more and more of these random violent acts that really aren't explained. And it's not just this one. Think of some of these school shootings and things that's happened recently. They're not really forthcoming on any kind of information after them. They don't release stuff. They're just like, oh, this is the person, and then it goes away. And then they don't talk about it anymore. And then the next thing happens, and oh, this person was this. They were a radical this or a radical that. And then it goes away. And what it's doing is little by little, people are becoming more easy and more afraid of the world that they live in. Because at any moment, some random person that seems to have no reason whatsoever to do these violent things will do these violent things. That kind of stuff is almost more scary than thinking that some Muslim terrorist or some drug cartel is out to do stuff to us. Just random people that fit right in. They blend in with society. They don't stand out, but yet they do random acts of violence. We'll see. We'll see if that's what happens with all of this, but I think that it would be a perfect way to play into the Psyop. That, we're under attack from all sides. Everyone hates us because of our freedom. Everyone hates us because we're trying to make America more free. So to make America more free, we have to spy on everyone and surveil and come into your homes and into your lives more intrusively. So you need to get ready for that stuff. You should have a plan. I've said this often. You should have a plan of what happens, what you're going to do when the day hits that you have to disconnect from the grid. I'm not talking necessarily electrical or your gas service or water service. I'm talking about the internet grid, the data grid. What are you going to do when you have to say goodbye to your phone, goodbye to your internet, goodbye to the things that are capable of intruding into your home? If you have a plan for that, how is that going to work? Some of you would be fine. Others, maybe your job, maybe so many things are dependent upon that. And you should have a plan for it, because that day will happen. It's almost guaranteed at this point that day will happen. So get ready for it. Get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.